Today is a special channeling. It's not an energy forecast. We're going to talk about Jesus and Christ consciousness and the Christ codes and whatever else Prime Creator wants to say. Here in this Creation Temple group, the Master Creators and I have been working with the energy of Jesus and the Christ consciousness, and it just feels like it's time. It's time to bring through more energy around it, perhaps get more information. I have no idea what Prime Creator wants to share with us, but it feels like it's time to really maybe demystify, or maybe the channeling will bring in even more mystery. I don't know, but I know for me personally, Jesus is very important in my world and my life, and so I want to get the Prime Creator perspective and see what information wants to come through. I'm also feeling really strongly to invite in the energy of Jesus and the Christ. So I'm just going to do that out loud, just inviting Jesus to join us in the session. And if he wants to speak directly, that's welcomed. Dear ones, I will begin by saying that Jesus indeed was a most remarkable avatar, a being whom brought through many codes for humanity, who brought through not just teachings and stories and parables, but real life, actual events that he performed, that he lived, real things that he did. For example, multiplying fish, turning water into wine. These were very real experiences that Jesus brought to planet Earth. They are not just myths or parables to help us understand things. These are experiences that he lived, and the people around him experienced these very real events. Last week, I referred to him as an alchemist. And this is because Jesus knew how to work with the ethers and physical matter and all of the energetics in between. He knew how to master the transformation of energy into physicality. This is what you humans are currently coining the term manifestation. He knew how to organize the etheric energies, to organize codes and energy signatures, to combine them in ways that created physicality, to combine them in ways that landed in your physical reality. He is the ultimate manifester, you could say. And the reason that this term, this idea has gained such popularity in recent years is because with the return of Christ is the return of the Christ codes and the Christ abilities. And when Jesus said, "You will do things greater than I," he was referring to, I have given you these templates. I have shown you that you as humans have these abilities. And now you can go forth in your own lives and work with these templates. You can also be alchemists. That is inherent within your human capabilities. It is your birthright. And this is what Jesus was showing you. And so when he raised Lazarus from the dead, when he himself was resurrected, the alchemy of changing the energetics, where there was once no life, breathing life into it again. These are things that you as humans can do. This channel is asking about the ascension and why this is not focused on in the Christian church. Why there is very little information in the Bible about this. There was more written about this, but it did not end up in the books of the Bible, partially because of translation, partially because of the control of religion and the church, and partially because humanity would reject much of Jesus's message if this information was amplified and focused on, because it is a bit of a stretch for the minds of most. And religions, the churches, did not want humanity to know of this power. And indeed, they framed many of the events in Jesus's life as parables and myths, so that you as humans would think that you could never have these kinds of powers. The time is upon us, dear ones, where these powers are now being activated and resurrected within you. We are at the very beginning stages. But I am saying this so that you understand you have these powers within you. All of the teachings and talks about ascension in the New Age community, Jesus was the one that initiated and activated that template on planet Earth. There were many other avatars that came before him. And Jesus is the one that brought through that code, those energy signatures, that template for humanity and for planet Earth herself. So the ascension was not focused on, because there is much power in knowing how to master your body and your frequency in order to be able to ascend in the most pure way. And the powers that be, or the powers that were, do not want humanity to have access to that information.
Was Jesus also Buddha, Sananda, and other avatars?
No, these were different souls, different beings. They shared some lineage, they shared some energy signatures and codes, but they were not reincarnations of each other.
Prime Creator, thank you. Can you talk more about, you had said that we're in the early stages of being able to also have these abilities and we're working towards that, but can you talk a bit more about what that path looks like and how it will happen?
It is a mastery path, dear ones, and I will explain it as best I can through this channel, that for those who want to master this path, in this lifetime, it requires a great degree of purity, discipline, commitment. And for those who do not feel that calling or that drive, that path can be accomplished along the soul journey with what you would understand in your human frame as a slower pace, because you would be gathering codes and information throughout many lifetimes, realms, and realities. But for those who feel the knowing within their beings, within their hearts, that this mastery path is meant for this lifetime, then a great degree of purity is required. When I speak of purity, I am speaking of mental, emotional, physical, purifying your bodies in every aspect, purifying your minds, your emotions, staying away from technologies or substances or certain medicines that would change the chemistry of your body in such a way that it removes you from your essence. Because your soul essence is what is required in order to achieve the masteries. The things that were put in place on this planet are meant to take you away from being able to master your body. So even something like sugar, in many cases, removes you from your essence to some degree. And so when I speak of purity, I am speaking of the most fine-tuned levels of purity. And this is a very difficult path. Many humans are not willing to give up these enjoyments or the addictions that they experience as humans. Many are not willing to do the inner work required to heal themselves, to rewire their brains and nervous systems, to recognize how they are programmed and to change their habits. It does require a lot of work. And so this is why it is a mastery path, because you are literally mastering your physiology, your emotions, your mind, how your body functions, how you function with your body. It is an intimate marriage of you and your body, because with ascension, you are working with the physical body and its frequency. It is not the soul leaving the body and becoming separated from the body. That is what you would call death. It is a marriage of your soul essence with your body to master how your body responds to situations, to master the frequency and vibrations of the body.
I was wondering about worshiping Jesus, worshiping Yeshua. Are we supposed to worship or just absorb the energies? Because I have a hard time with worshiping anything outside myself at this point. How like all these churches, and I'm not really sure what we should be doing, how that relationship should be merged. Can you talk about that? Thank you.
Yes, dear one. Worship is meant to be a natural expression of what is in your heart. And so there is no wrong or right way to express your heart. For example, in some churches, people raise their hands, people speak in tongues. There are many expressions. And for some people, it is a higher form of worship to move into deep silence and quietude, to be able to feel the presence of Christ. So it depends on the person and what you feel in your heart, how you feel to express your love and appreciation for the Christ.
Is Yeshua actually God, or is Yeshua the same as us and just the ascended form?
This is where it becomes a bit more tricky for the human mind to understand the subtleties and nuances, because yes, Yeshua is a form of God. Yeshua is also the same as you in many regards. The difference being the divine spark of Yeshua is, I will say it in this way, the divine spark of Yeshua is only 1 degree away from God, whereas humans are an additional degree away. Humans have gone through a soul journey that includes many lifetimes, realms, and realities, whereas Yeshua came direct. And this is why I speak of it in terms of degrees. The truth is that humans are not separate from God either, but there is that perceived separation because of the soul journey, because of how much the soul has experienced in different forms, different frequencies, different realms. Whereas Jesus came direct. This channel is asking if the soul of God is the same soul as Jesus. Dear ones, we cannot speak of God in terms of soul. Humans have souls. This is not what God is.
That what you just read here, and in the Bible it's always mentioned like Jesus is a firstborn. I came across a story explanation like in the beginning, like source was pretty much, I would say, a 0 point. Everything was at rest. Then some energies came to get to 1 point, And with that concentration, everything heated up like that. And then there was light, and it was explained as a first creation. Would that be then Jesus?
Are you asking if the creation of light is Jesus?
Yeah, and it was Jesus is the firstborn, so that would explain a light was created at a certain point, that it would be Jesus.
No, this was a different thing.
So I have read and heard that Jesus said to get to the Father, you have to go through me. So maybe you can clarify, and does that mean we should be praying to Jesus and praying to God, praying to one or the other? And then how does that work? Is that accurate, that we have to go through Jesus?
Humans have and can have direct connection with God. Jesus brought through energy signatures and codes that made God more accessible to humanity. And when he said, to get to the Father, you must go through me, he was speaking of that mastery path that I described earlier. To really commune with God, to feel God, to embody God, to connect with God. This is much more achievable when you purify yourself. Many humans in the past, before Jesus came to this planet in human form, had distorted ways, I will say, of connecting to God. There were many inversions and corrupted ways of connecting with God. People often thought they were connecting to God, but it was a simulation. And so the Christ codes brought through that direct connection with God without corruption, without inversion, a very pure and aligned way of understanding God. And so this is what is meant by that passage. Again, many of you are in that place on your soul journey where you have developed that direct connection with God on your mastery path, because you are already embodying many Christ codes. You are already embodying the consciousness of Christ. You are walking with Jesus because you have received and accepted his templates. And so when you pray, again, I invite you to pray in your natural expression. If you feel to pray to Jesus, pray to Jesus. If you feel to pray to God, pray to God. if you feel to pray to both. It does not have to be a prescription. It is meant to be what comes from your heart, what comes from your being.
Did Yeshua, Jesus, when he was on earth, did he marry Mary Magdalene or marry anyone and have a child, or both, or part of that? Thanks.
He did come into divine union with the feminine. I will not use the word marriage because of the way it is understood in your culture now. But there was a deep merge with the divine feminine through Mary Magdalene. And this was to, again, set up templates for the merge of the divine masculine and divine feminine. This channel is asking why this was not focused on in the Bible. Again, this was a power issue because those that wanted the power know that when the divine feminine and divine masculine come together, there is infinite power generated from that union. And so all of those, there was not much put in writing about this, but what was put in writing was kept secret and hidden so that it did not become part of the Bible. I'm not really getting any information about offspring. Give me a minute, see if I can. Just feels very mysterious around that question. I'm not getting anything clear.
I'm feeling protection. We're not going to get the answer to that because they need to be protected if there's a bloodline.
That resonates.
Prime Creator, I've also heard that Jesus's real name was Sananda when he was here, and I don't know if you have any information you could share about that.
This man has been given many names. And you will notice that different people resonate with different names of the Christ. Some of the names were given at his birth, and some of the names were given as he grew up, and some of the names have been given since he ascended from this planet. There are many, many names. So it becomes a point of it is not so important what the real true name is, because in some ways, every name that is given is the real true name. So some prefer to call him Jesus, some Yeshua, some Sananda. While the name is important when in prayer and invoking protection and casting out demons, etc. It is more the frequency and the resonance that you feel with the name you are using for him that has the power. So, for example, if you are casting out an entity in the name of Jesus Christ, if using those names resonates with you and invokes the power of this man and your being, then this is the name to use. If you are praying to him and there is a different name that arises from your heart, then this is the name to use. So again, it is an individual expression for each being, which name to call him.
You mentioned the Christ codes quite a few times. What can you explain them more? What that is? As everything is like a frequency, are those numbers or patterns, templates, or what?
The Christ codes are a coalescing of all of the energies, frequencies, numbers, patterns, energy signatures that he embodied and shared with humanity. Remember, I spoke about how he was able to gather and organize ether and turn it into physical. These are the Christ codes. Things that were brought through on a physical level, as well as on an energetic level. Not all Christ codes are physical. Some are etheric, some are energetic, some are emotional, some are mental. They are a coalescing of all of these things. It is quite encompassing and difficult to explain how magnificent these codes are. Some come through language and the tongue. Some come through movements of the body. All matter on planet Earth, to some degree, contains, or at the very least has been activated by these codes. And so as you feel the return of Christ grow stronger on this planet, it is because these codes are coming to life, so to speak. They are reawakening, they are reactivating, they are beginning to express. It is quite beautiful, dear ones.
So, Prime Creator, what you just said, were those codes here and became dormant? Or are they just coming in now?
Christ brought them in, and they didn't become fully dormant, but they did become, they were less active. This is why Scripture speaks of the return of Christ, because this is the time where these codes will be resurrected and be in their full power. So since Christ came to this planet, these codes have not been in their full power. not necessarily that they've been dormant, but they just have not been in their full power. And what I am saying is now is the time that they are being activated into their full power for a full expression on planet Earth. I will issue an invitation, dear ones, for those of you who wish to understand more, to feel more about this man, to open your hearts, to pray in your way, to ask for the wisdom of Jesus to be given to you if this is something that you want. I have spoken before about how the energy of the Christ is the new earth energy. And so as these templates are being reactivated, as these codes are titrating to their full power, this will correspond and correlate to the emergence of the new earth. So I will leave you with that thought and invite you to do your own inner exploration around this and what this can mean for you. And we will have another discussion about this. I thank you, dear ones. I'm hopeful that you were able to feel some of the energy that I felt. There were times during this transmission where the energy was so still and pure and clean that it overwhelmed me in a very good way, and that's why you saw the tears. I was trying to find words to articulate what I felt, because to me, it felt like the presence of God, the presence of holiness, just something so sacred and precious. And so, I hope that perhaps you were able to feel some of that as well. And I feel incredibly, humbled and blessed to be able to bring this through for you. It feels very, I'm not finding the words that I want. It feels very, I feel humbled. It feels very special that I was able to feel those frequencies and bring some of it through. There really aren't words for a lot of these things. And so I'm hoping that just in the silence, in the pauses, that you're able to feel some of the energy. So thank you for watching my videos. And we're going to come back with a part 2 because there are more questions and we ran out of time. So much love, everyone. We'll see you again.